So we've moved out to court 14. It's still a little bit noisy, but certainly at this time of year it's to be expected. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where we are and how these new courts have come to practice?
We're actually just courtside on court 14, so this year will be its first time back in play. It was out for the 2014 championships. So we've essentially dug the courts up, we've built some rooms underneath, we've then put a concrete slab back on top, and then we've rebuilt the court, and it will be opened again this year for the championships.
So in terms of the equipment that's required here, are there any restrictions or limitations, such as areas of access that require special pieces of equipment to be used?
Well, we try and keep the same equipment for everything. So we try and find the smallest area that we have to get through, which is centre court. So because centre court is nearly 100 years old, the actual access into court isn't very big. So all the bits of kit that we buy essentially has to fit through that door, and then we'll use it everywhere else. So we are very much all compact stuff. So everything is compact tractors. It's all pieces of machinery that are within a metre width. Cutting for phrase mowing and things like that. So as much as we can go bigger on the outside courts, we tend to just stick the same, just because we try to keep everything uniform.
So in terms of kit, do you have a personal favourite or a favourite piece of kit?
I think there's probably a few bits of essential kit that deliver what we do, but I think certainly for tennis courts at Wimbledon, I think the biggest piece of technology that we've had in recent years is probably the corro and phrase mowing, because now we can literally determine our thatch control and our power annua control, so which is our two biggest problems here in tennis. You know, if you get too much thatch or too much power annua, then obviously it has an effect on the playing characteristics of tennis court. So for me, since we've had that, it's been a big game changer.
So to keep ahead of the game, do you work alongside any turf care organisations or associations?
Yeah, we have a very close working relationship with the STRI. We have a series of programs that we undertake with them, all tennis related. I'm also quite heavily involved with the IOG. We do a grass court seminar here every other year in August, and it's jointly run between the IOG and the LTA, so we have a lot of associations with them. And one of my big beliefs is I'm fortunate enough to work here and end up being quite a high profile groundsman, so I think it's always a good opportunity for us, like today, to get our message across to the rest of the world how important good playing surfaces are, depending on what sport you're playing, and and the more that we can get ourselves out there and just sort of promote that, then the better it is. And through the likes of the IOG and the STRI, we can do that.
Can you talk to us a little more about the STRI trials?
Yeah, we've pretty much been a close working relationship with them for the last 20-25 years, and we'll look at all of the different bits of makeup that go into a tennis court. So we're constantly looking at best practice for soil management. Are the clay soils that we're using, are they the best ones for us? We're constantly looking at seed technology and cultivars, different fertilisers, pesticides. And they do all of our research for us independently, and then for the championships they'll actually come in for the whole of the championships, and they will actually monitor our grass court. So they'll do grass counting every single day, they'll do chlorophyll tests to see how much chlorophyll's in the courts every day, and then after the championships we'll sit down with them, we'll go through all that data, and we'll just check to see whether what we're doing is best practice, whether we need to tweak any ideas that we're doing, whether there's improvements out there in the marketplace that we feel that we need to bring in, and sort of things like that. So we're constantly looking at improving all the time. Even if we have a successful championships, we still want to improve, and with them, they help us achieve that.
So that's obviously had an impact on the seed suppliers that you're working with. Are you able just to talk us through a little bit about who you're working with and what you're using on the courts?
Sure. Currently we're using a 3 cultivar mix, which is a Melbourne, Venice and Madrid mix. They're all from the Limagrain house. We've been with Limagrain probably for about 7 or 8 years now, purely on the fact that the cultivars best for tennis, we find at the moment, sit with those. So we work closely with the guys at Limagrain as well as the STRI. We have a trial with our grass seeds where we're looking at probably 30 or 40 different ryegrass cultivars. Constantly every 4 years they'll get retested, reprogrammed, and then we'll whittle down to the top 5 of different cultivars that work best for us. So So it's constantly, we're constantly looking at things like that.
You've obviously had a very long and illustrious career. Who would you say has been the biggest influence on you?
I'd say probably my predecessor, Eddie Seaward. He had this philosophy of continually wanting to improve and never sort of resting on his laurels, and he always had this enthusiasm for growing grass, and it's very infectious, and it's kind of helped us along the way, and I'd like to think now the way I work with the team now is pretty much how he was working. So it kind of, in a way, you know, even though we have a successful championships hopefully this year, at the end of it we'll still be looking to improve rather than just assuming that we're doing a good job. So I would definitely say Eddie Seaward.
So throughout your career, looking at the industry as a whole, what are some of the major changes that you've seen? And particularly looking at your time here at Wimbledon, what are some of the biggest changes that you've experienced?
I think one of the biggest changes that I've seen is that the industry's become a lot more professional. So I think sport in general has become a lot more professional. If you look at players nowadays, it's all about diets and how they can get that extra 1 or 2% out of their performances. And I think that the actual British groundsman's done exactly the same thing. You know, we probably are the most revered groundsman in the world now. If you look at all the venues in the UK and how we deliver our playing services, I think we're probably up there as, you know, as being as professional as we can as the sportsmen that play on our services. And I think that's one of the things that I would say in the last 10-15 years is the quality of services that are produced in this country now are second to none.
So you've been here a very long time. You must have a favourite Wimbledon moment.
I have one every year, and that's when the tournament referee comes into centre court at the end of the mixed doubles, which is our last tournament, and says that concludes the championships for 2013, because I know it's finished and I know that we've got through it.
And so at home, who looks after the grass and what do they use?
It's all down to me, and I use a Hondry rotary mower. The reason why I do the grass is purely because I spend my whole life now in meetings and doing other different projects now, so it's the only time I actually get my hands dirty and get a chance to actually cut grass.
Well, listen, Neil, thank you so much. We know you've got a million things that you need to be doing, so we will let you get back to it, and the preparations can resume for the annual biggest sporting event in the world.